Hey everybody, it's Aaron, and welcome back to Lloyd's Comics Collectibles. And this week, we're going to be doing something different. I decided to start a Star Wars Power of the Force 2 collection, and I bought a small lot off of eBay, so I'm probably going to go through these in separate videos. So if you see a bunch of videos where I'm wearing the same shirts, because I got impatient that day and went through a bunch of them. But the first we're going to do, and I might use one of the other guys as an example, because there's variations on cards and stuff, and there's so many different ones that I've heard of. This series, if you're a completist inbox, might be kind of hard to do, but I'm a loosey guy, so I want loose ones. I don't necessarily care about carding and all that other stuff, but I'll try to throw in a little extra information. And the first one we're going to do is Chewbacca. Now, some of the information, like I said about the cards, is the first set, I guess would be the way to put it, like the whole thing, which was several runs, I guess, or series, has the traditional red lightsaber, which I don't have, and they have non-foil stickers. But one of the later sets, they switched to the green, and depending on, I think, when it's released, you have the full sticker and non-foil stickers. But most of mine in this haul have foil stickers. I think from what I read online, the foil stickers are the first releases. I'm not sure, and I've heard there's variations on this collection font, and then there's those collections are supposed to correspond to the sets, but they don't necessarily. So this seems like this is kind of a confusing line if you're an inbox collector. But anyway, let's get to looking at this bad guy. Okay guys, we're at figure cam mode. Like I said, this time we're going to do Chewbacca. But I'm going to go over some real quick things I think are weird. And I hate this about toys. And I guess it happened a lot in the 90s, right? But, you know, when I was a kid, you looked on the back of the box, and to me, this is the rest of this set. And in your head, you go, well, okay, since you got Chewbacca, you know, it's only natural Chewbacca's not down here. But if I get the Leia in Bosch disguise, look, the exact same back, but Leia's not here. Now granted, she might be mentioned in the little checklist they're on the fit. No, she's not even mentioned in the checklist. So I've never understood that, because if you thought, oh, like I got this one, that's the rest of the set, I don't understand that. Like, I guess since they're, I don't know, because these were released in waves, right? So say like a year. Like, does it say off the top? This was 1997. From what I gather, there were several waves that were released in 97. So why aren't the backs that wave? Like Chewbacca, alright, I have Chewbacca, so you don't have to put Chewbacca on the back of the card, even though, you know, producing figures, it would be harder to do a custom back each time based on who you had, whereas you could just do a shot of everybody, you know, nonetheless. And then, okay, case and example, it says this Leia was 97. And like I said, Chewbacca's not on her card. So I don't understand why that's done that way. I mean, I guess they figure kids aren't really paying attention, but it's always bothered me, because I think this is a release of a figure, re-release of a figure that was in the original, like, I guess 95 release with the red cards, because it's got the more detailed data card on the back. Whereas later ones that weren't re-releases had these simpler ones. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into opening this guy. He's got the foil art, which is, I believe, a sticker from what I've been learning, that just goes over the regular picture, but we'll find out. I'm going to try to open it a little bit more delicately to not really mess it up as much, in case I want to keep that card. So I'll probably actually bend it down here and peel it. So there you go. Well, So much for that plan. Okay, now let's see. Let's just. Yep, you can see behind it. There's a non-colored one. So the foil thing's literally, I guess, a sticker. That's neat. And let's get on Chewbacca himself here. So he comes with 2 recording. Pop that back up. And then make sure I'm on the right page. Okay, guys. So we got him open. Let's start talking about this fine specimen of a Wookiee. Han's right-hand man, co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon. The Wookiee is so strong he can, dislocate a man's arm, rip a man's arm with his bare hands. Chewbacca. Now, one thing I really noticed and liked about this figure is, if you can see, let me adjust the focus here a little bit for you guys. See if we can't. Okay, if you guys can see. He's got a lot of hair texture all over him, right? Well, he's a Wookiee. But I like the way it was used with this figure where to keep the muscle structure and the shape of like a humanoid intact. You see here around the face how a lot of it's smoother. Like it's still there but it's not as pronounced. But then down here in his beard area you got these bigger chunks that are like beard. And right here around the sides of the mouth, I like how they gave him a lot of hair texture, but it didn't take away from the shape of the figure. Because if you've seen the original Kenner one from the first toy release, he had hair texture, but it kind of made him look like he lost a lot of the humanoid shapes. First thing I noticed and liked about the detail in this guy is having hair texture, but having it smoother and I guess less pronounced here, more like if you pulled your hair back to preserve the details, but then picking spots so you still kind of looks rugged and Wookiee like around there for a beard and the sides of the face where would still be beard, and even so it looks sort of pulled back, it's smoother up here, but you got more pronounced texture down there. So that's one thing I really like about this guy. And the smooth texture doesn't hide the face per se, but my one qualm here is I get they did blue eyes because the rest of him is painted in this gradient of brown, right? Lighter brown, darker brown, and all things in between. And I get that in pictures of Chewie he's got brown eyes, and if you did that the face might get lost or the eyes might get lost in the brown, but I don't know, I feel like the big blue eyes sort of makes him go from kind of a savage Wookiee sort of to more hey guys, I'm happy to be here. But I mean, it's a small complaint. He's got his black sort of puppy dog-ass nose, and then these, excuse me guys, these painted teeth and fangs. And I think it was a really cool thing to take the time to paint the inside of the mouth pink to help the mouth sort of pop out from everything else. So you can find and see Chewie's face despite him being a big hairy monster. And they do the same thing throughout the body. The outside of the arm here has the more pronounced texture. And the other parts of the arm, to give it shape, have the smoother texture. They do the same thing on the chest. And coming back, Chewie's got his iconic pouch, side bag, shoulder bag, whatever you want to call it, and it's molded in, which some people might see as a downside, but what I like about it is since the bag as itself is molded in, when you put him in a seated position, you don't have to worry about what the bag's doing over here because it's molded as part of the leg. But you got the shoulder strap with all those tins painted silver. They didn't just leave them brown, so it's got all his Wookiee supplies of whatever you need when you're trampling across the galaxy. Like I said, it's molded on, so that's the kitty ran through, guys, sorry. And they did the same thing there on the back more of the texture in areas where they like strategically picked, like doing the shape of the hips wasn't that hard, so they could do a more intense texture. And all that continues down here to get the shape of the muscles and the legs. But he's got more rugged detail down here in the feet. Like I said, it's a very good choice in sculpting to balance that between giving him a humanoid shape and still sort of maintaining that wookiness. And I love, instead of painting him, which would have been quicker, one shade of brown, he has painted all these gradients of brown to give like his body depth, and it breaks it up so it's not all one monotonous brown color. So I think that's really good. Now he comes with 2 accessories, and I was seriously impressed with these accessories because I was used to toys in the 90s. Like, if you got the general shape of a weapon, you were doing good. But look at this, guys! This beautiful piping for the stock, the nuts and bolts here that hold it together, and that little plate. This little square area here that I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be more like another place to hold it, but maybe that's where the power pack goes. This nice scope up here that is, if you look at it from this side, a wider profile, so I guess it's more like binoculars, so you can look down the scope with both eyes. I'm not sure what this little bit here on top is supposed to be. Just another part of the scope, but it's detailed with that ribbing, I guess, for like the tube is great. There's the little sort of barrel that comes out the end and the iron sights. And those iconic crossbow arms that make the bowcaster. So he comes with bowcaster weapon made famous by Chewie himself. And he also comes with this heavy blaster rifle. But it just has an insane amount of detail. This horizontal like texturing on the stock and those little ribbon holes. Of these like panels and stuff that make up the rest of I guess this back would be the buttstock. This weird sort of small scope. I mean, it's not small, it's thin, but like, and the weird detailing there with all the rib bits. And this body with like, maybe that's a grip there, that box, and all these things that hold it together, and the rivets. Kind of makes me think of like a BAR from like World War II with like a weird buttstock on it. And I know some of the Star Wars weapons were inspired from like real weapons and hodgepodges. There's this canister here that at first I thought was like a big spotlight, but I think it's just like an energy canister. And if you flip it over on the other side, it's got all these other boxes and things, and that cable that runs to the barrel and runs to the power supply. So I thought that was really cool. It has an insane amount of detail on it, into like the bits where it looks like the barrel screws off if it gets too hot, and that muzzle brake. That is just like, it makes this gun feel heavy, and like you're glad to be on the other end of it, not on the business end getting shot, because this would hurt. Now what's also cool is it's got that shoulder strap, and the cool thing about that shoulder strap is, you can do we'll back it out a little bit here. Now the cool thing about the shoulder strap is you can have him hold each weapon in one of his hands, right? So actually this one is better to do this way. So if you push it in like that, you can wrap his thumb around the little bit there, so you can do a weapon in each hand. Alright, and then sort of tuck the buttstock into his folds of his arm there. You can do a gun in each hand, right? Giving them both barrels. Or you can pose him with the bowcaster, either one by itself, obviously. But you can also take this shoulder strap, and there you got Chewie using his bowcaster, but he's got that heavy blaster rifle as a backup. So I think that's cool. A good way to display him with both weapons, where some of the other characters come with multiple weapons, but there's no way to really display them with both per se. I guess you could put one in each hand, but it'd look weird. But also, since he comes with 2 weapons, it's nice to have because you can give it to somebody else. So we'll take Leia here, and you can have Chewbacca bring. Say he brought that one along, and then Leia can use it. I don't know how well she'll hold it. Yeah, her arms are a little shorter. You can still do it. It's just gotta. It's more to the outside. But yeah, I don't think her hands are the best shape for it for some reason. But you can do. There we go. You can do that. So now they're battle buddies. You know, going in there whooping up on some stormtroopers. So I think getting 2 accessories is always nice because that's something else you can give it to another character to get more playability out of your figures. So yeah, guys, overall, like I said, I'm really happy. Oh, let's go over articulation. This is the one weak point of the Power of the Force 2 line. Your points of articulation literally are the shoulders. You know, do the whole loop. He can uppercut somebody. His waist swivels, and it does do, if you wanted to, a full 360. You know, and his legs come up at both joints. They technically slide back a smidge, but they go up to like a 45-degree angle, right? Or he makes a 90-degree right angle. Because remember these toys, when you'd put them in the ships, you'd have to sort of come at the cockpit like this and do that sometimes. So if you're looking for a toy line for like great articulation for some really cool figure photography poses, the Power of the Force line is not that line. Like other figures, instead of having 5 points, will probably have 6 because Chewie's head does not move. It looks like it should, but I think because of the hair draping down off his head, it's not meant to swivel. So other figures might have 6 points of articulation. So you're not going to be able to like bend knees and arms and stuff. That's not to be said you can't do some cool displays with these guys, because you really can. Just if you were looking for really dynamic poses, you might want to go with something like the Black Series, obviously a more recent line, because this was 1997. But that said, these are a lot cheaper. Like, I got Chewie and 5 other characters shipped to my house for $40. And the actual offering itself was like 15 or 20. The shipping was 15. So, like $6.60 a figure. So if you were looking for like when I say cheap, it doesn't mean that these are bad quality figures. They just they don't have this many points of articulation. So if you were looking for a cheap series to get into to start collecting to show your love for Star Wars, and you're an out of box collector. Well, I mean, even if you're an in-box collector, you can just decide not to get all of the package variants. But if you just wanted something to show your fandom of Star Wars, $6.60 a figure is not bad. Now, granted, that was buying in a lot. Some of them are a little cheaper per se, outside of lots, depending. But you add the shipping and it's more. So it's not really cheaper. So if you can find a lot of like 6, you can get them pretty cheap. Individually, that price goes up a little bit, but that's inevitably going to happen. The more of these you get, you're not going to need 6 people and a lot, and it's not worth buying a lot of 6 characters when you have 4 out of the 6 kind of thing, maybe. But you can get them cheap, at least now. I don't know if these will come back in vogue and then the price will shoot up, because that does happen with figures sometimes, but it's something to think about if you're a Star Wars fan. Anyway, guys, I'll let y'all go. I feel like I've rambled on long enough. Follow us on all the social medias. Check out the WordPress website, where I have a written article on this guy if you want some more details maybe, or to see another perspective on it, because sometimes I add things in there that aren't in the videos. And I have several pictures if you want maybe some better looks at this guy. And click the notification bell to get notifications when I go live. Subscribe if you hadn't. And share with your friends if you think this is a hobby they might be interested in, or a figure series they might be interested in. It helps us grow, and that does give us extra motivation to keep doing videos every week, even though I am either way. And I'll see you next time, guys, and may the Force be with you always.